Hi, I'm Bill Malik. Today I'm going to be presenting a joint solution from EnterpriseWeb and Snowflake, which enables telco-grade agentic AI and multi-domain autonomous networking. This is the third in a series of 4 videos for this demo. Previously, I covered the creation of a zero-copy, zero-code integration between EnterpriseWeb and Snowflake. In a matter of seconds, I was able to create a connection between the two systems, which I could then expose an ODA service inventory out of the data that was in the Snowflake AI Data Cloud so an agent could consume it. In the second video, I walked through creation of such land graph agents, including a coordination agent which would actually allow us to directly talk to our network. You're going to see in this video I will use that agent. I will have a conversation with our system through NLP to actually query the network and service health, order a new service, and even invoke some continuous service assurance and optimization. Okay, so in the previous demos, you saw me make a connection between the EnterpriseWeb platform and the Snowflake AI Data Cloud. Then you saw me generate declaratively through a conversation with the system a set of agents. Now you're going to see me use those agents to talk to the network to deploy and manage a network service. So first I authorize the agent to work on my behalf. This actually pulls in all my credentials, including my connections across to the Snowflake Data Cloud. I can start tracing the agent at any time and see what it's doing, including the fact that in this case, when I logged in, it figured out that it had to work with each of those additional sort of multi-agents and authorize for both of those domains, so it did that. I can ask questions, of course, of the agent, things like, what can you do? And it will be able to, again, talk to each one of those agents and figure out that it can answer questions about network services and their health, order new services, and it can even respond to AI ops events as they occur. Right? And again, I can see how it came about these answers by, again, querying the actual agent itself. Right, but let's go ahead and use this a little bit. So what services are there? Okay. Tell me more about the and now I have details about the service itself. So we can go ahead and actually start working with this in other ways. We can order services, etc. But I'm going to take a second just to pause. Remember, we created a persona for our service manager agent. So since the agent's actually working through the persona of the service manager, we can examine the information that it has access to, right? So we can see there's a catalog of services it might order. There's only one in the catalog. We can see it also echoes the inventory that we saw earlier coming through the agent. And so this is going to be important because the next step we're going to do is actually order something from that catalog. So let's go ahead and do that. And it's pretty simple. Since there's only one service, we'll go ahead and say that we want to use that. There's only a couple of clusters we're connected to, so we'll just pick one of them. And just like that, the system is already deploying a new service for us, right? So if we were to pop into the EnterpriseWeb Service Manager itself, we could see this, right? So you'll see it's in the inventory and it's allocating already, right? It's standing up, well, it's healthy now, but we can even see a trace of all the low-level details that are things like subnets that it stands up, etc. All the details we want, even activating Ansible, etc. It stands up a set of observability. In this case, it's a dashboard in Grafana, but it sets up all of the needed observability for doing day 2 operations. Now, we can also, of course, ask more questions about the service, So there's round tripping between all of these, and if we were to go back into Snowflake itself, we'd be able to see this as well, and we'll look at the data there in a bit. But what I want to do now is I want to actually do something for the purposes of demo to show you the, the day 2 capabilities of the system. Okay, so for demo purposes, what we did was we turned off the AI ops capabilities for this particular service. That way, when we actually flood it with traffic and we force a day 2 event, like a simulated denial of service attack, you'll actually be able to see the impacts directly and how the system responds. It's a good example of how all of these components are integrated together. So I'm going to go ahead and actually start a traffic simulation here, and you'll see immediately what happens, right? You'll see that in the background here, in our dashboards, they're all spiking, right? We've got high latency and high power consumption detected for the service itself. You'll notice our agent now actually receives an event here. Poor performance was detected, and basically a description of why. Now the root cause analysis here is pretty simple, right? AIOps is not activated, but you'll see later in the AIOps section, right, that we really are doing this at a fine-grained level, right? We're attacking the problem at the level where it lives, whether it's low-level latency, whether it's policy-based, in this case a business policy that needs to be activated, etc. It will help us figure out what the remediation is going to be and either apply it for us, or in this case actually ask the user to authorize the, in this case, the change. All right, so we'll go ahead and do that. And what we'll see is that immediately our service is back to its health, right? Back in the dashboards, you'll see everything is down in the green. We've got latency at a good place. Back in the EnterpriseWeb system, we'll actually see the events that occurred here, right? We'll see that the AIOps monitoring actually started the day 2 policy so that it would fix the service itself. We can look at the events and we'll actually see that it's already made a configuration change, and we'll come back here in a little while to see exactly what's happening there. But the neat thing here is that this is, of course, we worked with our agent. We created our agent to work with the Snowflake Data Cloud and EnterpriseWeb itself, right? But there's sort of indirect integrations that also benefit from this. For instance, we have a ServiceNow integration with EnterpriseWeb, right? It's an incident management workflow that basically, if someone comes in, let's just say that before we fixed the problem there, a user noticed it when it was out, right? It took them long enough to report the issue. We fixed it in the meantime, right? Well, this is a scenario that the system is sort of primed to handle, right? So if I were to say something like, this is having an issue, I can't connect, right? So something like that, right? What's going to happen now is that the system is immediately going to go back to those agents that we put together for service management, etc. Right? It's actually going to look at that problem and it's going to cross-reference it with the system. You can actually see that that service that we were working with is the most likely candidate, right? And of course, it comes from knowledge the system has about who this user is and everything else, right? You can see that a minute 17 seconds ago we fixed it, right through to what the problem was, what the remediation was, and automatically closing the ticket. So just another benefit of the kinds of automation and really the sort of extended reach that we're able to achieve in terms of automating really a complete continuum of the tools you might use in your telecom. In this demo, you saw me have a natural language conversation with our agent using Cortex to quite literally talk to the network. I was able to query the network health, deploy a new service, and we even activated AIOps. In the next video, we'll dive deeper into AIOps and we'll see all the kinds of added benefits that we have behind the scenes that might not be apparent through the previous sessions. Be sure to watch the other demos in the series. Thank you.